Trading across borders. Trading begins once the importer and exporter reach a deal. This begins the process to deliver the goods. Part of the process is to transport the purchased goods across the country's border. This includes port and terminal handling, customs and border agencies, and inland transport. Doingbusiness.org measures a country on 3 components to determine how easy it is for that country to move a container to or from their port. The components in which they are measured are the necessary documents required to export and import, which includes bank documents, custom clearance documents, port and terminal handling documents, and transport documents. The next is the time required in days to export and import. This includes obtaining all the documents, inland transport and handling between the largest business city and the main port, custom clearance and inspections, port and terminal handling, and it does not include ocean transportation time. Lastly, the cost required to export and import, which includes all documentation, the inland transport and handling, custom clearance and inspections, and finally port and terminal handling. The average of the percentile rankings on these components is how a country gets ranked. It's 33.3% each. The top 3 ranked countries measured on these 3 components are Singapore, Hong Kong, and Korea. The bottom 3 ranked countries measured on these 3 components are South Sudan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. When looking at the country's statistics on a chart, there are very significant differences between the top countries and the bottom countries. Look, for example, at the differences between the number of documents needed to export. The top 3 require 9 less documents than the bottom-ranked countries. When comparing the differences between the days to export, the countries require roughly 2 months less time to export. And when comparing the differences between the cost to export per container, the top countries are around $5,000 less to export. The differences are similar when comparing the requirements necessary to import items. There is a drastic difference when looking at the documents necessary, the days required to import, and the cost per container to import. Why are these countries doing so well? Well, first off, new technologies allow for electronic submission and processing. The key to achieving success is having the ability to accommodate laws with new technologies. This reduces interaction with customs officials. Next, linking agencies can allow for a single system to have all parties involved, the exporter, importer, regulatory agencies, and banks. If you look at this chart, it indicates how linking agencies can really help a country be more efficient by reducing the number of days, the time needed to clear customs, and the number of import documents necessary. Next, using risk-based inspections, border control agencies have developed systems for establishing risk profiles that allow them to apply physical inspections. Technology can also help to eliminate the need to physically inspect every container. Countries should make private participation easier by having privatizing trade services such as custom brokers, transport companies, and port service providers, which can promote competition and will lead to efficient systems and lower costs. Why should countries even bother to import and export? There are many benefits for a country to trade. Trading can allow for developing countries to become part of a global supply chain. Trading can allow for access to imported raw materials. Trading can lead to the transfer of knowledge. And lastly, trading can be a good source of revenue for governments in the form of tariffs and duty payments. There are many factors that can limit trade. For an example, inadequate infrastructure, inefficient port operations, excessive documentation requirements, customs taking too long because of procedures, and audits and corruption by government agencies. There have been several studies that show the importance for trade efficiencies. For example, a study focusing on Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation economies estimated that cutting the days needed to clear exports in half could enable a small to medium-sized enterprise to increase its share of exports in total sales from 1.6% to 4.5%. A study by the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development and the World Trade Organization shows that an extra day in the trading process can reduce exports by at least 1%. A study in sub-Saharan Africa estimates that reducing export costs 10% with improvements to the trade process can increase exports by 4.7%. Globally, reducing trade costs by 50% could increase trade in manufacturing by up to $377 billion a year and triple the benefits for consumers from tariff reductions. Thank you all for listening.